What if I told you that a quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people spend quarters without a second thought. They drop them into vending machines, leave them in cup holders, or toss them into jars at home. But hidden among millions of ordinary coins is one coin that has captured the attention of collectors across America, the 2000p Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. George Washington's familiar portrait stares back from the front. The coin feels like every other quarter you've handled in your life. But appearances can be deceiving, because behind this small piece of metal lies a fascinating story of American history, a groundbreaking coin program, rare errors, collector excitement, and the possibility that valuable treasures are still circulating today. To understand why the 2000p Washington quarter matters, we have to travel back to the turn of the millennium. The year 2000 was a special moment in American history. The nation had just entered a new century. Technology was advancing rapidly, and millions of Americans were collecting something that had suddenly become incredibly popular: the state quarters program. Launched by the United States Mint in 1999, the program was unlike anything the country had seen before. For the first time, each state would receive its own unique quarter design, released in the order that states joined the Union. People everywhere became treasure hunters overnight. Children searched through piggy banks. Families examined change after grocery trips. Collectors lined up at banks hoping to obtain fresh rolls of newly released quarters. The excitement was contagious. And right in the middle of this collecting craze came the 2000p Washington quarter series. The P Mint mark means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of America's oldest and most important coin-producing facilities. For decades, the Philadelphia Mint had been striking coins that circulated across the nation. In the year 2000, the Mint released 5 state quarter designs: Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Virginia. Hundreds of millions of quarters poured from the presses. That might sound like bad news for collectors. After all, if a coin is made in enormous quantities, how could it possibly become valuable? The answer lies in the details. You see, while millions were produced, not every coin survived in perfect condition. Think about it. The moment a quarter enters circulation, it begins a difficult journey. It gets dropped, scratched, scraped, and worn down by years of use, passes through countless hands. It rattles around in cash registers and pockets. Over time, pristine examples become surprisingly difficult to find. This is where the story becomes interesting. Collectors are constantly searching for coins that escaped heavy circulation. A perfectly preserved 2000p Washington quarter can command significantly higher prices than its face value, especially when professionally graded. But condition is only part of the story. The real excitement comes from errors. Throughout history, mint errors have transformed ordinary coins into legendary collectibles. And the 2000p quarters are no exception. Some examples have been discovered with off-center strikes. Others display dramatic die cracks, doubling, or striking abnormalities that make them unique. Imagine receiving a quarter in your change that appears slightly different from every other quarter you've seen. Most people would spend it without hesitation. A collector, however, might recognize something extraordinary. That possibility is what keeps coin hunters searching. Every roll of quarters becomes a mystery. Every handful of change becomes a treasure hunt. And every coin could potentially reveal a hidden surprise. One particularly fascinating aspect of the 2000p Washington quarter is how it represents a turning point in American coin collecting. Before the state quarters program, many Americans paid little attention to the coins in their pockets. But the introduction of state-themed designs changed everything. Suddenly, coins became miniature history lessons. The Massachusetts quarter celebrated the state's role in American heritage. The Maryland quarter honored its unique traditions. The South Carolina design highlighted important symbols of the state. New Hampshire featured the famous Old Man of the Mountain Rock Formation, which tragically collapsed just a few years later, making the coin an even more meaningful historical reminder. Virginia's design commemorated the Jamestown settlement and the ships that carried early colonists to the New World. Each quarter told a story. Each coin became a tiny piece of American culture, and the Philadelphia-produced versions became essential additions to collections nationwide. But here's something many people don't realize. Not all valuable coins are ancient. When people think of rare coins, they often imagine gold treasures buried underground or silver coins from centuries ago. Yet some modern coins can become surprisingly desirable. Why? Because rarity isn't determined solely by age. It's determined by survival, demand, condition, and uniqueness. A coin doesn't need to be hundreds of years old to capture collectors' attention. Sometimes a coin only needs the right combination of circumstances. And that brings us to one of the biggest questions surrounding the 2000p Washington quarter. Could valuable examples still be out there? The answer is yes. Every year, collectors discover overlooked coins in circulation, inherited collections, forgotten jars, and old bank rolls. Some people have unknowingly spent coins worth far more than face value. Others have stumbled upon remarkable finds while simply searching through spare change. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. Unlike many hobbies, treasure can still be found almost anywhere. A valuable coin isn't locked away in a distant museum. Could be sitting in a drawer. Could be hidden inside a coin jar. Could even be in your pocket right now. The mystery keeps collectors coming back. The possibility fuels the hunt. And the 2000p Washington quarter remains part of that ongoing adventure. Another fascinating detail is the coin's connection to George Washington himself. The Washington quarter design first appeared in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. What began as a temporary commemorative issue became one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By the year 2000, Washington's portrait had already appeared on quarters for nearly 7 decades. Generations of Americans had carried his image in their pockets. The state quarters program preserved that tradition while adding new stories to the reverse side. In a way, every 2000p Washington quarter serves as a bridge between America's past and its future. It connects the nation's first president with the states that helped shape the country. It combines history, art, culture, and economics in a single coin. And that combination is part of what makes collecting so rewarding. Because coin collecting isn't really about metal. It's about stories. It's about discovering forgotten pieces of history. It's about holding a tangible connection to the people and events that came before us. And sometimes, it's about uncovering something rare when nobody else noticed it. The next time you receive a quarter in your change, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the condition. Ask yourself a simple question. What story does this coin have to tell? Because the 2000p Washington quarter proves that even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary stories. A coin worth 25 cents may represent decades of history. It may connect you to one of the most successful coin programs ever created. And in rare cases, it may even be worth far more than its face value. That's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill of the unknown. The excitement of discovery. The possibility that treasure is hiding in plain sight. So before you spend your next quarter, take a moment to look at it carefully. You never know what secrets it might be carrying. And who knows? Your next great treasure hunt might begin with just 25 cents. If you enjoyed this story and love discovering hidden treasures, rare coins, and fascinating pieces of history hiding in everyday places, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment sharing the most interesting coin you've ever found, and join us for more incredible journeys into the world of coins worth money. The next valuable discovery could be closer than you think. A quarter, just 25 cents. The kind of coin most people toss into a jar, leave in a car cup holder, or hand over without a second thought. But what if one ordinary-looking quarter could be worth far more than its face value? What if a coin minted by the millions carried hidden stories of American history, rare varieties, and surprising collector demand? Today, we're uncovering the fascinating story behind the 2004p Washington $quarter coin. At first glance, it seems like just another modern coin. But beneath its familiar design lies a chapter of American heritage, a massive minting operation, and a treasure hunt that continues in pocket change even today. So before you spend your next quarter, you might want to take a closer look. The story begins long before 2004. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, America's first president. Originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue, the coin became so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter permanently. For decades, Americans carried Washington's portrait in their pockets. Generations used these coins during wars, economic booms, and cultural revolutions. The quarter became one of the most recognizable coins in the nation. Then, in 1999, something extraordinary happened. The United States Mint launched the famous 50-state quarters program, one of the most successful coin programs in American history. Instead of the traditional eagle reverse that had appeared for decades, each state would receive its own unique design. 5 new state quarters would be released every year, creating a nationwide treasure hunt. Suddenly, millions of Americans became coin collectors. Families searched through pocket change. Children filled maps with newly discovered states. Banks struggled to keep up with demand as collectors eagerly awaited every new release. By the time 2004 arrived, the excitement was at its peak. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year. The 2004 releases celebrated Michigan, Florida, Texas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Each design told a story. Michigan honored the Great Lakes and its nickname as the Great Lakes State. Florida featured a Spanish galleon, a space shuttle, and sabal palm trees, representing centuries of exploration and innovation. Texas proudly displayed the Lone Star and an outline of the state, reminding Americans of its independent spirit. Iowa celebrated education and exploration with a schoolhouse scene inspired by a painting connected to the famous expedition of Lewis and Clark. Wisconsin showcased agricultural heritage with a cow, cheese wheel, and corn, symbols of the state's farming traditions. But here's where things get interesting. Most people assume all quarters from a given year are identical. They're not. Within these massive production runs, small variations, errors, and exceptional condition coins can emerge. And that's where collectors start paying attention. The Philadelphia Mint produced enormous quantities of 2004 quarters. Some individual state designs exceeded hundreds of millions of pieces. On the surface, that means they're common. And generally, they are. A typical circulated 2004 P quarter is worth exactly 25 cents. Not exciting, right? But the world of coin collecting rarely stops at the ordinary. Collectors seek coins with perfect surfaces, strong strikes, and exceptional preservation. Finding a quarter that has survived more than 20 years without scratches, wear, or damage is much harder than it sounds. Imagine 2 identical quarters leaving the mint on the same day. One enters circulation immediately. It passes through cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, and thousands of hands. The other is carefully preserved by a collector and stored in protective holders. 2 decades later, those coins live in completely different worlds. The circulated example remains worth face value. The pristine example can command significantly higher prices because collectors compete for the finest known specimens. And then there are the errors. Coin errors have always fascinated treasure hunters because they transform ordinary money into unexpected collectibles. A misaligned strike, an off-center strike, a doubled image, a missing design element. These mistakes occur during the minting process and create coins unlike the millions around them. Most errors are minor, but some become highly desirable because they are rare and visually dramatic. Imagine discovering that the quarter sitting unnoticed in your drawer was created during a brief minting mistake and is one of only a handful known to exist. That's exactly the possibility that keeps collectors searching. Among the 2004 quarters, one particular issue generated enormous attention. The Wisconsin quarter became famous because of what appeared to be an extra leaf on the cornstalk design. Some coins showed an unusual additional leaf pointing upward. Others displayed a leaf pointing downward. These varieties became known as the extra leaf high and extra leaf low Wisconsin quarters. Suddenly, a quarter worth 25 cents became the center of a nationwide hunt. Collectors searched through rolls from banks. Dealers examined inventories. Coin enthusiasts spent hours looking through pocket change. Why did the extra leaf appear? Was it an accidental die gouge? A minting anomaly? Or something else entirely? Even today, debate and speculation continue among collectors. What everyone agrees on is that these varieties transformed an ordinary state quarter into one of the most famous modern coin discoveries in American numismatic history. And that's one of the reasons the 2004 quarter remains so fascinating. It's a reminder that valuable discoveries don't always come from ancient treasure chests or buried pirate gold. Sometimes they come from everyday change. The cultural significance of the 2004 quarters extends beyond collector value. These coins helped connect Americans with their state's history and identity. Millions of people learned about geography, historical events, and regional traditions simply by examining the designs in their pockets. For many children, state quarters became their first introduction to collecting. Some completed entire collections. Others became lifelong numismatists. A simple quarter inspired curiosity, learning, and a deeper appreciation for history. That's a remarkable achievement for a piece of metal measuring less than an inch across. The 2004 Washington quarter also represents a fascinating moment in American coinage. The state quarters program revitalized interest in collecting at a scale rarely seen before. According to estimates, tens of millions of Americans participated in some form of quarter collecting during the program's run. Very few coin series in history have achieved that level of public engagement. Think about it. How often does an object worth only 25 cents become a nationwide sensation? How often does ordinary pocket change encourage people to study history, geography, and art? That's exactly what happened. And even now, more than 2 decades later, people continue searching for hidden treasures among these coins. Perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all. How many valuable varieties remain undiscovered? How many pristine examples still sit forgotten in old collections, dresser drawers, or family coin jars? Could a rare error be hiding in circulation at this very moment? The possibility is small, but it exists. And that possibility fuels the excitement of coin collecting. Every quarter tells a story. Some stories are common. Others are extraordinary. The 2004 Washington quarter sits somewhere between those worlds. It is a coin produced in massive numbers, yet capable of surprising collectors. It is a modern coin that carries centuries of American history. It is a simple quarter that became part of one of the most successful collecting programs ever created. So the next time you receive change, don't dismiss that quarter too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the date. Find the mint mark. Examine the design. Because hidden within the most ordinary objects can be stories waiting to be discovered. And sometimes, the difference between 25 cents and a collector's treasure is simply knowing what you're holding. If you enjoyed uncovering the story behind the 2004 Washington quarter, make sure to subscribe and join us for more journeys into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, minting mysteries, and forgotten pieces of history. And before you go, tell us in the comments. What's the most interesting coin you've ever found in your pocket change? Your next discovery might be closer than you think. Have you ever reached into your pocket, pulled out a simple quarter, and wondered if you were holding something far more valuable than 25 cents? Most people spend quarters without a second thought. They end up in vending machines, parking meters, tip jars, and forgotten corners of couch cushions. But every now and then, an ordinary-looking coin captures the attention of collectors across the country. One such coin is the 2015 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it seems completely ordinary. It bears the familiar face of George Washington, a design Americans have carried in their pockets for generations. Yet behind this modern quarter lies a fascinating story of history, national pride, hidden value, and the ongoing treasure hunt that keeps coin collectors searching through everyday change. So what makes the 2015 Washington quarter special? Could one sitting in your coin jar be worth more than face value? And why are some collectors willing to pay surprising amounts for certain examples? Let's uncover the story. The year was 2015. America was continuing one of the most successful coin programs in its history, the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This ambitious series, launched in 2010, honored national parks and historic sites across all 50 states, U.S. territories, and the District of Columbia. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of quarters during that year. These coins entered circulation by the truckload, spreading across banks, businesses, and cash registers throughout the nation. Because so many were produced, most people assumed they would never become collectible. But coin history has taught us an important lesson. Sometimes value isn't determined simply by age. Sometimes it comes from condition. Sometimes it comes from rarity. And sometimes it comes from mistakes. The 2015 P quarters featured 5 different reverse designs throughout the year. Each celebrated a unique location that represented America's natural beauty and historical heritage. Collectors eagerly searched for the Homestead National Monument quarter from Nebraska, honoring pioneers who settled the American frontier. They looked for the Kisatchie National Forest quarter from Louisiana, featuring a wild turkey in flight. They searched for the Blue Ridge Parkway quarter, showcasing one of America's most scenic roads. They hunted for the Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge quarter, known for its graceful great blue heron. And they collected the Saratoga National Historical Park quarter, commemorating a pivotal location in the American Revolutionary War. Each design transformed a simple quarter into a miniature work of art and a tiny history lesson. But here's where things get interesting. Although hundreds of millions were struck, very few survived in perfect condition. Think about it. The moment a coin enters circulation, it begins a difficult journey, passes through countless hands. It gets tossed into pockets with keys. It falls onto hard surfaces. It rubs against other coins day after day. Tiny scratches begin to appear. Luster starts to fade. Sharp details become worn. Before long, a once perfect coin becomes just another piece of pocket change. That's why collectors place enormous importance on condition. A 2015 P Washington quarter found in average circulation is generally worth only its face value. But a flawless example, one preserved from the moment it left the mint, can tell a completely different story. Professional grading companies examine coins under magnification and assign numerical grades. The highest grades are extraordinarily difficult to achieve because even the smallest imperfection can reduce a coin's score. For collectors pursuing top-grade examples, competition can become intense. A coin worth 25 cents in circulation might sell for several dollars, tens of dollars, or even much more if it receives an elite grade and possesses exceptional eye appeal. But condition isn't the only factor driving excitement. The real thrill often comes from errors. Throughout history, mint errors have transformed ordinary coins into legendary collectibles. A tiny mistake during production can create a coin unlike any other. Imagine a die crack forming during the striking process. Picture an off-center strike that shifts the design. Consider double details appearing where they shouldn't. These unusual characteristics can instantly capture the attention of collectors. While most 2015 P quarters were produced exactly as intended, a small number displayed striking anomalies and mint errors. These pieces became the hidden treasures that collectors dream of finding. And here's the exciting part. Many error coins are discovered years after they enter circulation. Someone receives change from a grocery store. A collector examines a roll from the bank. A curious teenager checks a coin jar inherited from a grandparent. Then suddenly, there it is. A rare mint error hiding in plain sight. Stories like these continue to fuel the modern treasure hunt. Perhaps that's what makes coin collecting so captivating. Unlike buried pirate gold or lost ancient artifacts, valuable coins can still be found in everyday life. The possibility exists every time you receive change. The 2015 P Washington quarter also connects collectors to a much larger historical tradition. The portrait of George Washington on the obverse traces its origins back to the bicentennial celebration of Washington's birth in 1932. Few coin designs have achieved such longevity. Generation after generation has carried Washington's image through economic booms, world wars, technological revolutions, and cultural transformations. Think about that for a moment. The same basic portrait that appeared during the Great Depression continues to circulate in the digital age. Every quarter serves as a small bridge connecting modern Americans with their nation's past. That historical connection adds a layer of meaning beyond monetary value. Collectors aren't simply gathering metal discs. They're preserving pieces of history. The 2015 issues carry another significance as well. They represent a period when the United States Mint was actively using circulating coinage to educate the public about national landmarks and historic locations. Millions of Americans learned about parks, forests, battlefields, and wildlife refuges simply by examining the coins in their pockets. In a way, these quarters became traveling ambassadors of American history and conservation. Yet perhaps the biggest mystery surrounding coins like the 2015 P quarter is a simple question. How many valuable examples remain undiscovered? Nobody knows. There may be pristine specimens tucked away in forgotten coin albums. There may be rare errors sitting unnoticed in cash drawers. There may be high-grade coins hiding inside old collections waiting to be rediscovered. The uncertainty keeps collectors searching. And that search often leads to unforgettable moments. Imagine finding a brilliant, uncirculated 2015 P quarter that somehow escaped years of wear. Imagine spotting a striking error that experts confirm is genuine. Imagine turning a common quarter into a remarkable collector's piece. These possibilities transform an ordinary hobby into a real-life treasure hunt. Of course, not every 2015 P Washington quarter will make someone rich. Most remain worth exactly 25 cents. But that's not really the point. The true value often lies in the journey of discovery. It's the excitement of examining a coin closely. It's the curiosity sparked by a design. It's the connection to history. It's the possibility that something ordinary might secretly be extraordinary. And perhaps that's the lesson hidden within the 2015 P Washington quarter. Great treasures don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they arrive disguised as everyday objects. Sometimes they're overlooked because they seem too common. And sometimes they're sitting quietly in a pocket, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, don't rush to spend it. Turn it over. Check the date. Look for that small P mint mark. Examine the details carefully, because you never know what story that coin might tell. And who knows? The next hidden treasure could already be in your hands. If you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of coins and hidden treasures, make sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible discoveries from the world of numismatics. Every coin has a story, every collection hides a mystery, and every pocket could contain the next great find. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and never stop looking for treasure in the places most people overlook. Every day, millions of Americans spend quarters without giving them a second thought. They rattle around in pockets, disappear into vending machines, and get tossed into jars on kitchen counters. But what if one of those ordinary-looking quarters was hiding a story most people have never heard? What if a coin worth only 25 cents could connect you to centuries of American history, national pride, and a fascinating chapter in modern coin collecting? Today, we're uncovering the story behind the 2016 P Washington $quarter coin, a coin that many people overlook, yet one that holds surprising significance and has become increasingly interesting to collectors. Imagine receiving change from a grocery store and finding a quarter dated 2016. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. George Washington stares back from the front of the coin, just as he has for decades. Most people would spend it without hesitation. But hidden within that small piece of metal is a story involving American heritage, national parks, minting technology, and a collecting craze that continues to this day. To understand the 2016 P Washington quarter, we first need to travel back in time. The Washington quarter was originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. What began as a special commemorative coin quickly became a permanent part of American currency. For generations, Americans carried Washington's image in their pockets, making it one of the most recognizable coins in the country. Fast forward to the 21st century. The United States Mint had already achieved tremendous success with the state quarters program, which captivated millions of collectors. After that program ended, the Mint launched another ambitious project known as the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This series celebrated national parks, monuments, forests, and historic sites across the United States and its territories. Every year, several new quarter designs were released, each honoring a unique location that represented the nation's natural beauty and cultural heritage. The year 2016 was particularly special. 5 different quarter designs were issued that year. They honored Shawnee National Forest in Illinois, Cumberland Gap National Historical Park in Kentucky, Harpers Ferry National Historical Park in West Virginia, Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota, and Fort Moultrie at Fort Sumter National Monument in South Carolina. Each design told a different story. Each captured a piece of America's identity. And among these coins, the P Mint mark carries its own significance. The letter P indicates that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historic minting facilities in the United States. The Philadelphia Mint traces its roots all the way back to 1792 and has produced countless legendary coins throughout American history. Millions of 2016 quarters were struck there, but that doesn't mean every example is identical. In fact, this is where the story becomes interesting. Although the Philadelphia Mint produced huge quantities of these quarters for circulation, collectors soon began searching for exceptional examples. Coins with strong strikes, brilliant surfaces, and minimal contact marks became highly desirable. The difference between an ordinary quarter and a premium collector specimen could be dramatic. Think about it. 2 quarters might have started their lives on the same day inside the Philadelphia Mint. One could end up heavily worn after years of circulation. The other might remain untouched in a collection, preserving its original brilliance. Decades later, the value difference between those 2 coins could be substantial. But condition is only part of the story. The real excitement for many collectors comes from errors and varieties. Throughout history, minting mistakes have transformed ordinary coins into valuable treasures. A tiny error made during production can sometimes increase a coin's value far beyond its face value. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls of quarters hoping to discover unusual strike errors, off-center designs, die cracks, doubled features, or other minting anomalies. While most 2016 P quarters are worth only face value in circulated condition, rare error examples can command much higher prices depending on the nature and severity of the mistake. This treasure hunting aspect is one reason coin collecting remains so exciting. Imagine sitting at a table with a box of bank-wrapped quarters. Hour after hour, you examine each coin carefully. Most appear ordinary. Then suddenly, something catches your eye. An unusual mark. A strange doubling. A feature that shouldn't be there. Could it be valuable? Could it be rare? That possibility keeps collectors searching. Yet the appeal of the 2016 P Washington quarter goes beyond money. These coins serve as miniature history books. Take the Shawnee National Forest design, for example. It highlights Camel Rock and represents one of the most scenic natural areas in Illinois. The Theodore Roosevelt National Park quarter honors a location deeply connected to one of America's most influential presidents. The Harpers Ferry design celebrates a place rich with Civil War history. Every coin captures a story that might otherwise be forgotten. In many ways, these quarters transformed everyday change into educational tools. Millions of Americans learned about national parks and historic landmarks simply by looking at the coins in their pockets. That's a remarkable achievement. How often does a piece of everyday currency inspire curiosity about geography, conservation, and history? The United States Mint understood something important. Coins are more than money. They are symbols of identity. They preserve moments, places, and ideals for future generations. The 2016 quarters continue that tradition. Another fascinating detail involves the materials used in these coins. Many people assume quarters are made entirely of silver, but that hasn't been true for circulation quarters since 1964. The 2016 P Washington quarter consists of a copper core surrounded by layers of copper nickel. This durable composition helps the coin withstand years of use while maintaining its appearance. Despite being produced in massive numbers, certain high-grade examples have achieved impressive prices in the collector market. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on preservation and quality. A quarter that appears ordinary to the average person might receive a premium grade if it has exceptional characteristics. This creates an intriguing question. How many valuable coins are hiding in plain sight? Some may still be sitting in old jars, forgotten piggy banks, or inherited collections. Others continue circulating through cash registers every day. Most people never look closely enough to find out. And that's part of the mystery. Every collector remembers the moment they first realized that common coins could hold uncommon stories. For some, it begins with a wheat penny. For others, a silver quarter. And for many modern collectors, programs like America the Beautiful sparked that initial fascination. The 2016 Washington quarter arrived during a time when coin collecting was becoming increasingly accessible. You didn't need to purchase expensive rarities. You could simply examine your pocket change and start learning. That sense of discovery transformed ordinary people into treasure hunters. Perhaps that's the greatest legacy of this coin. Not its value, not its mintage, not even its designs. Its real significance lies in its ability to inspire curiosity. A small metal disc worth 25 cents can lead someone into a lifelong exploration of history, art, economics, and national heritage. That's extraordinary when you think about it. As years pass, the 2016 Washington quarter will continue aging alongside the stories it represents. Some examples will become worn and damaged. Others will remain carefully preserved by collectors who recognize their historical importance. Future generations may look back at these coins as snapshots of early 21st century America. They will see the national parks, monuments, and landscapes that Americans chose to celebrate. They will see what mattered enough to place on the nation's coinage. And perhaps they will wonder about the people who carried these quarters in their pockets every day. So the next time you receive change, take a closer look before spending that quarter. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study the design on the reverse. You might not discover a fortune, but you may uncover a story. And sometimes the story itself is the real treasure. What do you think? Have you ever found an unusual quarter in your pocket change? Do you collect America the Beautiful quarters? Or have you discovered any interesting mint errors? Share your experience in the comments below. If you enjoy exploring hidden treasures, rare coins, and fascinating pieces of history hiding in plain sight, be sure to subscribe and join us for more incredible coin stories. Because the next great discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now. Have you ever pulled a quarter from your pocket, tossed it into a jar, and never thought about it again? What if one of those ordinary-looking coins was hiding a story far more fascinating than its 25-cent face value? Today, we're diving into the world of the 2018 Washington quarter, a coin that millions of Americans handled without a second glance, yet one that represents history, artistry, and the ongoing hunt for valuable treasures in everyday change. At first glance, the 2018 Washington quarter seems completely ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of George Washington, America's first president, a design that has been part of American coinage for generations. But beneath that familiar appearance lies a remarkable story connecting modern America with centuries of history, exploration, innovation, and collecting passion. To understand this coin, we need to travel back in time. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. What was originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue became one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. For decades, Americans carried Washington's image in their pockets, spending these coins on everything from groceries to movie tickets. Fast forward to 2018. America was in the midst of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, one of the most ambitious coin series ever produced by the United States Mint. This program celebrated national parks, monuments, and historic sites across all 50 states, U.S. territories, and the District of Columbia. The Philadelphia Mint, represented by the famous P mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of quarters during 2018. These coins entered circulation across the nation, becoming part of everyday life almost instantly. But here's where things get interesting. Unlike ancient gold coins locked away in museums or rare silver pieces hidden in private collections, the 2018 Washington quarter remains accessible. It still circulates today. That means valuable examples could be sitting in cash registers, coin jars, or even in your own pocket right now. Imagine that for a moment. A treasure hunt that doesn't require a metal detector, a map, or a shovel. All it takes is paying attention to your change. The year 2018 featured 5 different reverse designs under the America the Beautiful series. Each design honored a unique location and told a different chapter of America's story. There was Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore in Michigan, showcasing dramatic cliffs rising above Lake Superior. There was Apostle Islands National Lakeshore in Wisconsin, celebrating the beauty of America's northern waters. Voyageurs National Park in Minnesota honored the historic waterways once traveled by explorers and fur traders. Cumberland Island National Seashore in Georgia featured a majestic snowy egret. And Block Island National Wildlife Refuge in Rhode Island highlighted a black-crowned night heron perched among rose bushes. Each design transformed an ordinary quarter into a miniature history lesson. Think about that. Every coin was carrying a piece of America's natural and cultural heritage. Millions of people spent these quarters without noticing the stories engraved on their surfaces. Yet collectors understood that every design represented a unique moment in U.S. numismatic history. Now you might be wondering, if millions were made, how could any 2018 quarter be valuable? That's an excellent question. Most circulated examples remain worth face value. However, condition changes everything. Coin collectors use a grading system that rewards preservation. A quarter that has spent years bouncing around in pockets develops scratches, wear, and discoloration. But a coin that remains pristine, with sharp details and original mint luster, can command a significant premium. The difference can be astonishing. A worn quarter might buy only a piece of gum. A flawless example could attract serious collector interest and sell for many times its face value. But condition isn't the only factor. Errors and varieties have always fascinated collectors. Throughout history, mistakes made during the minting process have transformed ordinary coins into prized treasures. A double design, an off-center strike, or other unusual minting anomalies can dramatically increase a coin's desirability. This is where the excitement begins. Every time collectors examine a roll of quarters, they're searching for something unexpected. Tiny difference, a rare error, a coin that escaped the mint with a unique characteristic. It's the possibility of discovery that keeps the hobby alive. And that possibility creates a powerful emotional connection. Imagine being a child searching through spare change with a grandparent. Every coin becomes a mystery. Every date tells a story. Every unusual detail sparks curiosity. For many collectors, that's exactly how the journey begins. Not with expensive purchases or auction houses, but with simple wonder. The 2018 Washington quarter plays an important role in that tradition because it's a modern coin accessible to everyone. Unlike ancient Roman coins or rare colonial pieces that can cost thousands of dollars, this quarter invites anyone to participate. You don't need wealth to become a treasure hunter. You simply need curiosity. Another fascinating aspect of the 2018 quarter is its connection to the Philadelphia Mint itself. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest mint facility in the United States. Established in the 18th century, it has produced countless coins that passed through the hands of presidents, soldiers, immigrants, business owners, and ordinary citizens. When you hold a 2018 quarter, you're holding the product of a minting tradition stretching back more than 2 centuries. That's a remarkable thought. This small piece of metal links the modern world to generations of Americans who came before us. Coins often seem ordinary because we encounter them every day. Yet they are among the most enduring artifacts humans create. Paper money wears out. Technology becomes obsolete. Buildings crumble. But coins survive. They travel through time, carrying stories across decades and even centuries. A quarter minted in 2018 may still be circulating 50 years from now. Who will hold it then? What stories will it have witnessed? What journeys will it have taken? Those questions add a sense of mystery that collectors find irresistible. The cultural significance of the Washington quarter extends beyond collecting as well. George Washington remains one of the most recognized figures in American history. His leadership during the Revolutionary War and his role as the nation's first president shaped the foundation of the United States. Every Washington quarter serves as a small reminder of that legacy. At the same time, the reverse designs celebrate America's landscapes, wildlife, and historic places. The result is a coin that combines national history with environmental and cultural preservation. It's more than currency. It's storytelling in metal. And perhaps that's why quarters remain so beloved among collectors. Each one captures a snapshot of the nation at a particular moment in time. The 2018 P quarter captures America's commitment to honoring its natural treasures and historical landmarks. As the years pass, these coins may become increasingly nostalgic. Future generations could look back at the America the Beautiful series as one of the defining coin programs of the early 21st century. Collectors already recognize its importance. Complete sets continue to attract interest, and pristine examples remain highly sought after by enthusiasts building long-term collections. Yet the most exciting possibility is still the simplest one. Somewhere, right now, a valuable 2018 P Washington quarter may be hiding in plain sight. Maybe it's sitting in a cash drawer. Maybe it's tucked inside a forgotten piggy bank. Maybe it's mixed among dozens of ordinary coins waiting to be examined. The next time you receive change, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for the P mint mark. Study the design. Ask yourself where that coin has been and whose hands have held it before yours. Because every coin has a story. Some stories are obvious. Others remain hidden until someone takes the time to discover them. And that's what makes coin collecting so captivating. It's not just about money. It's about history, mystery, and the thrill of finding something special where everyone else sees only pocket change. The 2018 P Washington quarter may never be the rarest coin in America. It may never rival legendary treasures worth millions. But it represents something equally powerful. The idea that discovery is still possible in everyday life. And sometimes, the greatest treasure isn't the value of the coin itself. It's the story you uncover along the way. So, have you checked your quarters lately? You might be carrying a piece of history without even realizing it. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of hidden treasures and fascinating coins, make sure to subscribe, share your favorite coin discovery in the comments, and join us for more incredible stories from the world of numismatics. Because the next great treasure could be waiting in your pocket right now.